Okay. Perfect. I think we are live again. This is our fourth podcast. My name is Darcy the Rock, and this is Terry Osti, and you are listening to the Agent Tech Mastery podcast that revolutionizes the real estate business. I have almost 3 decades in information technology, and Terry has been around almost 2 decades as a real estate agent. We are your guides to streamlining operations, saving time, boosting revenue. Oh, sorry, it's going live here. Okay. And we like to discover cutting edge technology, systems, apps, and a mindset for a profitable and integrated business. If you want to know how to get there, you are in the right place. You ready, Terry? Exciting topic today.
Yes, let's
Okay.
do it.
We are going to talk today about cloud storage. And I think because I've been doing this for so long that most people don't really understand what that actually means. And I love to talk a little bit about Terry way back, really long time ago, when when I actually this is how I became in this business helping real estate agents. I was helping other industries before with similar issues, but Terry became an agent, and I remember you would need to get files or something, and you'd be out on the road. And do you remember what would happen?
Yeah, well, yeah, for a little more clarity, I would just store my documents on my hard drive.
But not
Right.
knowing where on your hard drive.
I had a fairly good system of on my hard drive,
Yeah.
so I could find things quite easily. But the challenge was is that they were on my hard drive.
Right.
So to access them, I actually had to go onto my laptop or my desktop computer or wherever they were stored. And I think I had a laptop and a desktop at the time.
Yeah.
So then I was storing stuff in two different spots,
Yeah.
minimum. So that becomes a little bit of a challenge. So, for example, someone would say, "Hey, can you send me a copy of those bylaws?"
You're like,
I say,
uh-oh.
"Yeah, I can." And I would need to go back to the office and find out where they were and email them that way.
So,
But that was like 20 years ago, right?
oh, it was a long time ago, but again, we fixed it because almost 20 years ago, you still could have a business set up properly, but now it's even better, but you still could have done it.
Mhm.
So, what you and I were talking about recently, so I'm actually going to pull up this little guide here, is that by driving back and forth, wasting time trying to figure out where stuff is, agents waste and entering data in multiple spots. Agents
Mhm.
waste about 10 hours a week, roughly.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's a lot more than that, right?
it can be. Yeah,
And what's that?
yeah, it definitely can be.
Yeah,
Right.
it can be. And so I think part of this is understanding what's the value of your time, because sorting out where your files and folders are is a complicated process. Once it's fixed, it's not. But if you're wasting 10 hours a week, and Terry, I know there's a big gap what people say, but if you could put a value on your time, if you could, right?
Hmm.
So it's really interesting what some agents say, like $10 an hour, like, come on. Like, and some agents say $500 an hour. And you say,
Well, I'll just be really, really conservative.
yeah,
But I'm going to say that a realtor's time is worth at least $50 an hour.
okay, let's do
Again, I'm just
30.
going to be conservative. I'm just going to say that because, like you say, we have agents who say that their time is worth significantly more than that. But
Yeah,
we're just going to be conservative, $50 an hour.
yeah. So 50
So,
bucks an hour of value of
yeah,
time is a loss of time value of $500 a week, a
correct.
monthly loss of 2,000, and an annual loss of $24,000 of lost time.
Due
Now
to,
think about that.
yeah, yeah.
So is it important to know where your, oh, I almost swore, where your stuff is? Yes. So we're going to talk about that today. Okay. So Terry's right in the sense that, every computer has a hard drive, almost. Chromebooks don't. But almost every computer that people, and I actually don't recommend Chromebooks necessarily because I think people find them a little bit confusing, but a normal Mac or a normal Windows computer There's storage that you buy, and usually you buy your computer based on storage. So the bigger the hard drive, the more expensive the PC is. Now, if you're set up properly, that shouldn't matter because everything is cloud-based. Okay. So the top four, there's lots of them out there, but the top four that I've seen everybody be using is OneDrive that comes with a Microsoft computer, Apple's iCloud Drive, which comes with every Mac, and then Dropbox, which you download, and then Google Drive, which comes with your Gmail account. Make sense so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The confusing part, which I see all the time when I'm working with agents, is they have a computer and they're saving stuff, but they don't know where it's going. So, for example, the normal way to save something is you're saving it, and the computer tells you, I'm going to just save it to the downloads file or the documents file or something like that, right? That's the default location. That's not good. The default location should be where you want it to go. So it should pop up saying, okay, well, where do you want it to go? I want it to go to listings, address here, or personal recipes here, or whatever. This is really important for business and personal to understand how cloud storage works. Okay. Questions yet, Terry? Or comments?
No, I totally get it. I got lots of comments, but we'll get there. But
Okay.
I know you're talking about putting your files in a place that you can find them. And I know you've worked with thousands of agents, and I've done a lot of work because I teach at the various real estate boards, et cetera, at SC,
Yes.
and interact with a lot of agents. Um, do you find a lot of agents using more than one cloud storage platform?
Yes, that's one of the problems.
Mhm.
Yes, because what happens is the computer will save it to where the default computer wants it to go, and then they can't find their files because they don't understand all that. So they're out in the road, they've got their phone and like, I just got to find that file, like you just said, but they can't find it because it's sitting on their computer when it should be sitting in a cloud storage file. And so what happens is they're not sure, so they'll download Dropbox and then they think it's working okay. But what happens is they'll save it to where the default location goes because that's the setup. When we help agents, we actually tell you where to save it. Okay, not in this dumping ground of whatever your computer's telling you. We want you to know where it goes,
Mm.
right? But what they end up having to do is then remember to move it in Dropbox to where they actually want it to go. It's
Right.
just it wastes so much time. I can't even tell you how much time it wastes for
Yeah.
people,
What do
right?
you find too? I know a lot of agents are really hesitant to spend money and invest money on their business side of things. So let's
Yes.
say an agent has Dropbox as their favorite cloud storage and they
Yeah.
use the free Dropbox.
Yeah.
Then they max that out. It's you only get whatever a terabyte or whatever you get for free.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do is they create a
Terabyte, they do not get, sorry, just FYI, you do not get a terabyte for free. It's a very small, you
listed.
get a terabyte for paid.
Okay. So then let's say it's 100 gigabytes. So they fill that up pretty fast, or
Yeah.
50 gigabytes or whatever, fill it up pretty fast. And
Yeah.
then they go, oh, I don't want to spend any money on the paid subscription. So what I'm
Yeah.
going to do is create another email address
That's right.
so I can get another free subscription, another 10 gigabytes or whatever it is, right? And look at
Yes.
that.
So now we have another email address. Oh my gosh. I think we already talked about emails.
Talk
I'm
about
going to
email
talk about
stuff.
it again many, many, many times. Now we have another email address. And you know what they do? Okay, oh, I love that you brought this up. Okay. So what most people do in that scenario is they're going to go set up Gmail because Gmail is the easiest and most well-known email platform for personal use. They set it up. What's Gmail come with? Google Drive. So now some
Mm.
stuff is going to be in Dropbox, and now some stuff's going to be in their computer file, and then some stuff's going to be in Google Drive. They've made it worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Is you have a record of how many cloud platforms a client or one of the realtor has had? Is there off the top
Yeah,
of your
almost always three or four. And then on that, I'm gonna just get another email to get more space.
Mhm.
I don't see it happen as much, thank goodness, but I have seen it happen and it's mucked up. And then they'll have to go in and out because they've got this Dropbox account and this Dropbox account. They don't know where their files are. Then they're out on the road. They don't know where their stuff is still. because which Dropbox is it attached to? Every cloud storage account is attached to an email address. So then they have to go and probably flip back and forth between the different emails to see where's that file, wasting a ton of time,
Hmm.
right? So
Exactly.
it's really, really frustrating for an agent not to be able to find their stuff, right?
Yeah.
It really is. And again, I'm always about personal and business. And that default location that is on every computer is, I'm going to say 95% of the time when I'm helping agents and we get to the point where I'm looking at their computer, that's where their stuff is. And then they've copied it over to Dropbox or Google Drive or OneDrive or iCloud, wherever else, whatever other cloud storage there is. And now we have another problem. So you guys please listen to this. I was just talking to someone this morning about this because they didn't listen. Okay, you ready? We always move files and folders into another location. We do not copy, because what happens when you copy something? So let's say you copied something from OneDrive because you're now going to use Dropbox. Now you've still got OneDrive on your computer and you've got Dropbox on your computer. And I guarantee you at some point you're going to screw up and put it in you're doing a new file or folder and you put one in Dropbox, then you're going to put one in OneDrive, and then you're going to be completely confused about where your stuff is. So we do not ever, ever, ever want to copy files and folders, almost never, to one location from one location to another. We want to move them. Does that make sense, Terry?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Because then, yeah, for sure.
I I can tell you a story of, this is a few years ago, but it was such a horrible nightmare. So we worked with an agent, and it was all set up, and everything was syncing integrated, and it doesn't even matter which cloud storage, because whatever you use, just use it, and the computer has to be set up so you know where to save things. So we had done everything and set it all up, and then she hired a VA to help her. And the VA, and I'm talking hundreds of thousands of files. So they call me maybe 6 months later saying we can't find our stuff and there's duplicates. I'm like, oh my gosh, what the VA did is copied, kept the top of the folder structure, copied it and did it again. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times.
Yikes.
How do we fix this? Like, oh my, why the heck did they do that? Like, you never do that. Okay, I'm going to say 99.9% of the time you would never do that. There's some reasons when I'm talking to an agent, we might copy it, but it's almost never. It's a move of files and folders from one location to another. Make sense?
And I know, talking to a lot of agents as well, um, they think that they have to have a all those different cloud storage applications as part of their software package because they say, well, if somebody sends me something from Dropbox, I have to have
Yeah.
Dropbox. If someone
You're...
sends from iCloud, I have to have iCloud, and that's right.
Did I
But
plant you in the audience? I think I planted you in the audience.
but I know that
As
the
a
problems are for
Yeah,
sure.
because that is exactly what happens. And again, listen up. If I use Dropbox and I send you a file, you do not have to be a Dropbox user ever. If I use Google Drive and I send you a file from Google Drive, it doesn't mean you have to go set up Google Drive. You download whatever they send you to your platform that you are using. That makes sense?
Hmm.
You do not have to be a Dropbox user to download the files unless they've restricted them, but I have never seen, I rarely see that happen.
Yeah. But
Okay.
I still get emails from my colleagues with 25 or 30 attachments. Fortunately, they're not one-page JPEG, so they're usually just PDF files. But now we're slowly evolving. The industry is slowly evolving, and people are starting to get it. Like, why am I sending 50 attachments of Strata documents, right? When you can actually use cloud storage,
Yeah.
create a file structure for these documents, and send someone a link.
Yeah.
So what we did quite a while ago, thanks Darcy, is we created an email telling people on how to access this document link that I sent them because there's a lot of agents out there that have never even done anything like this
They
before,
don't understand.
and I
Yeah.
send them a link and says, "Here's all your documents," and they go, "Well, where's all the attachments, right? So
Yeah,
there are no attachments. You're accessing my cloud storage software.
that's right.
Where is that?
So, excuse me.
Mhm.
So that is of huge importance. Again, we teach and train on this because it is just not common knowledge how to use all this stuff. How would you know, right? So you can't see me, but old school way of doing this is to, you're right, attach 50 documents. Here's a problem with this. Okay. And again, it comes from not understanding and not having your business set up properly, is that if you do not have a proper business email, um, or the receiver doesn't, sending 50 documents may not make it through your email server or their email server, because those documents are large, right? And you're using a free service, which doesn't give you a lot of space anyhow, and then the bandwidth of sending those files. So if you're an agent that's done that, you've probably come across where it'll bounce back saying email too large to send or something like that. And then you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Now you have to split it. How much time are you wasting doing this too?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what they do? They
Yeah.
send you 6 separate emails.
That's what I was just going to say. They have to break it into smaller emails saying, here's the first 10, here's the next 10, here's the next 10. And the agent on the other end is saying, who the hell is this stupid person? Right. And I'm sorry, but you do not run a business that way. You do not send multiple emails with StrataDocs or whatever it might be. And the new way, again, that's in quotation marks, because the new way has been around for a very, very, very long time, decade, at least, oh, longer than a decade,
Mhm.
15 years, I think.
Yeah.
So Terry's right. What we do is you structure your folders, that there's a folder that says this is the buyer's documents, or this is whatever you need to do, the buyer's documents, and all the documents that you want them to see are there, and you give them a link to that folder. That's what Terry has done for years. And what we discovered, this is so long ago, right? Like almost 2 decades ago when we were doing this, we figured that most agents wouldn't understand when we send a link. So we literally have an email that says, if you're a Dropbox user, do this. If you're a Google user, do this. If if you don't have no idea and you want to watch a short video on how to download these documents, here's the video. And have you ever had any problems since we've done that? This has been so long now, but
No. Not with
no.
the no, I send that email and I think everybody gets it, but I've had a couple agents where I've had to make a phone call and walk through the process. Um, and then just another little tip too. Sometimes when you send a link to somebody, it might be 300 characters long. You know how it has all those numbers and characters, and it's like this long.
Yeah.
It occupies 3 lines in your email
Oh, you don't send it that way.
as a link. So yeah, I wanted to just give a tip about hyperlinking
Oh,
and
yes.
creating a text of that says Strata documents for 123 Main Street and
Yes.
insert that super long link into that text.
Because otherwise it would confuse people. That's a great tip, Terry. So all it is a clickable link. That's what he means by hyperlinking it.
Yeah.
It's a clickable link to the folder that you're going to look at. Yeah.
Do you have a blog on that? Because a lot of people may not be even understanding what I'm saying. How do
They
we
can,
blog
I
on
have
that?
a bunch of blogs. So if they go to agent tech, TECH mastery.com, I've look at the menu at the top there's a blog, and I talk about email and domain names and signatures. Actually, we'll talk about that in another one. I got to remember that signatures, because everybody mucks up on email signatures. And I don't think we talked about that last time.
Yeah, everybody
I'm
loves
gonna,
pictures.
what's that?
Everybody loves pictures in their
Yeah,
signature.
yeah. A little teaser. That's
Yeah.
not good, and we'll explain why in maybe next podcast. But yeah, I might have a blog on hyperlinking. But honestly, you can just Google that if you don't really understand it. You can say, "What is a hyperlink?" and the world is at your fingertips with the search on the internet, right?
And
Easily.
once you learn that, it's going to be your new best friend.
Oh, yes. It's funny because I've been doing this for so long, so I love that you're here, kind of giving little tips, because intuitively I do all this, and I think you do as well all the time now. So I don't even think about some of these things. So hyperlinking is amazing to give access to a folder. And the other thing too, you guys, is that what we also teach agents, because this is another thing that I've discovered, is people don't understand what rights are to a folder. And we teach agents that in our program, but you got to know what kind of rights you want to give the people to access your folder structure. Okay, it's very important to understand that. And you can always book a call at the end of this. I'll give you a little link and you can book a call for us to kind of review how your systems are. The other thing that I remember, Terry, that we did for you that I think was incredible, but now you've been doing it for so long, but we gave you a folder structure so that every listing, we'll use listings, every listing that you do, every agent does the same thing. You get, what do? You get photos, you get documents, you get, and again, we work with agents all across North America. So some of this terminology, I'm talking to a Canadian agent with the way we do things in a certain area in Canada. Your area might be different and we call it different things, but you get strata docs if it's, what else? List all the things you get.
Listing documents, you have to pull title, you know, and there's a myriad of documents associated with listing a property. Property disclosure statement, and it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've done recently, just to keep things organized, is I actually have subfolders of, let's say, listing documents. I have signed and unsigned subfolders.
Ah, yes.
Because if you just put all those documents together in one big batch, and then you have to rename everything, if you know, just to keep control of it. So I go from signed or unsigned to signed. So
and it's just to move it up to a different folder.
So then if I'm looking
Great
for
idea.
A final document, I just go to the signed folder, and I know those are all final documents that are signed.
Nice. Okay, that's an awesome tip, you guys. Awesome tip. But you do have your stuff isn't just scattered everywhere. You have a system where it's sales, listings, buyers, listing, address, and then all the different folders. And then the ones that are going to be sent to another agent, you don't want them to see the stuff you don't want them to see. There's another folder that would say like
buyer documents for 123 Main Street.
Buyer docs for 123 Main Street. And that's the one where you're going to put stuff in that's all you want them to see.
Yep. We have a title folder. We have financial folders, strata document folders, like the minutes, et cetera, et cetera. We have fully structured.
Not the offer folder. That doesn't go in there.
No, the offer folder isn't there.
Just FYI. This is why it's important to understand folder structure and rights to folders. Okay.
And if you want to be really nice to your fellow agents, if you're the listing agent on the strata, when you're in the strata minutes folder, the subfolder should be by year.
Yeah.
They will love you if you actually break that down for them.
So just FYI for the American folks listening, strata is HOA docs.
Yeah.
So similar. So here you have to have 2 years worth of minutes and AGMs and stuff like that. I don't know exactly what the rules are everywhere else, but really what's really frustrating, I think, for most agents, and I've heard it over and over again, is again, when you send those strata docs all in one PDF and then they have to break them up, right? What Terry has done and you've always done. And do you use a PDF splitter or what do you do?
Well, you know what happens? Here in British Columbia, when we order documents through our program here, when they finally arrive, you have 2 ways to download them. They give you one massive PDF, which is like 400 or 500 pages long, or they actually allow you to download them individually.
Okay, good.
So it's really, really easy to download that big one because it takes 2 seconds and you're done.
Yeah.
When you send that massive file to your buyer agent, I could just hear this screaming.
Oh my God. Yes. Because it's horrible.
Then
you have to split it. Or also there's going to be some issues with the sending of that because it's going to be a very large file of 2 years worth. And I've never heard of an agent who likes one single PDF of all this stuff. It's not good. So you want to download but let's just say, just for sake that not everybody would have the ability to download individually, you can use some software that splits up the PDF. And we used to use PDF Splitter. I don't know if it's still around, but there's lots of software out there that you can use to split it up. And there's free versions and there's paid versions. And if you know nothing else about what we always say is that you're running a business, pay for your software. Okay. Pay for things you need and require to run your business. And not this, again, don't be a cheap agent that, now I'm going to waste $48,000 worth of my time, or what did I say? $24,000 worth of my
Minimum.
time.
Minimum.
What's that?
Minimum time.
Minimum time trying to do all this workaround because you don't want to pay the $10 a month. It's ridiculous. Okay, ridiculous.
So,
Other, what's that?
I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second because we're talking about
Oh,
sending these large files from agent to agent.
yeah.
But if you're a buyer's agent and you receive this massive file,
Mm-hmm.
and then the thought process might be, well, this is the file for my client. I'm just going to send them the file.
Right.
So with agents who have a lot of experience in strata or HOAs, it's pretty easy for us to navigate the required documents. We understand exactly what we're looking for. We can
Yeah.
get through these things pretty quick. But if you ever sent one of those big files
Yeah.
to a first-time home buyer of an HOA or a strata, and
Yeah.
it's 500 pages long and it's a big mixture of stuff,
Stressful.
they're going to lose their minds.
Yeah. What the
This
hell
is
does
getting
this
a
mean?
1-star rating. Right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it's true. And here's the other thing that just came to mind. I haven't done this since a long time ago. I don't even know if you still do this, but I just remember how many errors there were. Is that some agents don't actually read the documents. And I remember maybe 15 years ago, I was helping you with stuff and trying to understand some of this stuff. And I remember we had a checklist. So with in our region, it was is it still 2 years?
Yep, 24
Okay,
months.
2 years of strata doc. So we had a January to December, January to December, and we had a little table that say, okay, we got the January one, got the February one, and then we'd read it to say if there's anything that's flashing, bad. But also they might say next meeting is, let's just pretend it's August 1st. Next meeting is September 15th. So we know that the next document should be September 15th, but maybe they didn't have that meeting, or maybe they didn't give you September 15th, because everyone can make mistakes. And I can't tell you, I don't know if it still happens a lot, but it happened a lot when I was helping you way back when.
For sure. Yeah, there's definitely lots of mistakes and missing minutes, for sure. Mistakes on the Form B, excuse me. And yeah, if you don't look at them before you actually send them out, that's a big problem. But I don't want to represent buyers, well, sellers as well. I go through every single, making sure everything is there, because I have to. It's very good practice to do that. But
Yeah.
the I've received lots of documents from other listings for my buyers. We go through it and like, yeah, sure, we're missing 3 or 4 of the minutes. And
But the other agent didn't even look at them, and they're representing the seller.
yeah, for
That
sure.
kind of stuff, I don't know. That drives me bonkers because you're getting paid to represent the seller. You should understand the minutes, and do we have all the minutes?
Yeah.
That's a frustrating.
Yeah, it's always good practice. I get a little sidetracked here, but it's always good practice. We actually have to have the documents ordered before we list a property.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in order to fully understand a strata property, you actually have to read the minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if there's a pending, let's say in British Columbia, we have a thing called rain screening, which is a building envelope
Yeah. You
component.
know what, Terry, we should probably table this because this is not about cloud storage. I think we should talk about
Yeah,
documents one
sure.
day. I'm
Yeah,
going to add that to our list.
okay.
Because we're totally getting sidetracked and not talking
We are
about
totally-
cloud storage, because that's how things happen here as we go down the rabbit hole. So let's just talk a little bit more about cloud storage. And I want you to understand that the a Mac comes with iCloud, a Windows computer comes with OneDrive. Dropbox is an independent company that's all they do. And if you have a Gmail account, that is Google Drive. Okay. So let's just be clear again that if you have a Mac, you have iCloud Drive. And then if you have a Gmail account, you also have Google Drive. Okay. So this is where the confusion comes in, where what do you pick and what do you use? And I think that is the big question mark about what is best for you. And if I go really high level, the functionality is kind of the same for all of them. They're a folder that set you down. You may download the Dropbox and you get a Dropbox folder, or your Mac has iCloud with it, or your Windows computer has OneDrive with it, or you download Google Drive. All it is, for real simplistic, easy for me to say, it's just a folder on your computer. That's it. And people, I think, don't really understand that. Now, they do function a little bit differently. And when we work with agents, we explain what the differences are. But really high level, they're just folders on your computer that if you're a Dropbox user and you're connected to the internet, it will sync everything up to their servers. If you're Google Drive, it'll sync everything up to their servers, iCloud, and OneDrive, the same thing. Make sense?
Hmm. I
And
have,
the free versions have small amount of storage.
yeah.
So I'm going to tell you right now, if you are not paying for cloud storage, you are not running your business properly. Because that means, I mean, even our personal stuff, our business stuff is way more than what the free version that anybody gives you. So that means that where's your stuff? Is it outside of the cloud, any cloud storage, and it's not being backed up? And if your computer dies, have you lost all your stuff? Right?
Hmm.
And another kind of fallacy is that Macs never have a problem. That is so not true. Macs also can die and break down and get viruses. And will tell you a quick story. This is a few years ago, but I had before he became my client, because this would never have happened otherwise. He had a Mac. His Mac died. He lost all his files. He took his computer to his, because he wasn't backing them up. It wasn't set up properly, wasn't cloud storage. And he had to pay. I'm trying to think now. I said a few years ago. I think it was like 10 years ago. So it's probably way more money now, but he had to send his hard drive to a forensic person to try and retrieve the data that he could. And he got back 25% of his data. He was so upset because he's lost his client data. Like that just makes my heart pound a little bit just talking about that story because it's horrible.
Yeah.
Another really sad story about cloud storage, and this is one where I had someone crying. Again, not a client then, now is, came to me because, again, computer died. This was a Windows computer. Her father just passed away. She had all her pictures of her father and they were all gone. It makes me so sad to think about this. It's all avoidable if you have proper systems in place. Make
Hmm.
sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Question?
there's one way to kind of verify, um, or one little test for you is to go to your desktop computer that you use for
Yeah.
business and
Oh.
count how many PDFs you have there. If it's more than
Or
10,
folders,
if it's more
PDF and
than
folders.
10, you need to book a call with Darcy because
Yeah.
you're one of those people.
Yeah, that's an, thanks for bringing that up too, Terry, is because if you have this, I like to kind of call it a dog's breakfast desktop where there's like 100 things. What's it do mentally to you when you open up your desktop and you see this dog's breakfast of stuff, and trying to find stuff on a desktop is just horrible, right? And is it backed up properly so you know where that stuff is if and when your computers die? Like they die. Where's your stuff? And is that going to be a problem with what's on your desktop? And we teach agents, like if I could show you my desktop now, I got nothing on my desktop.
Yeah,
I
me either.
could
Mhm.
if I wanted. I just prefer not. I like to have a nice scenery and that's it. And what I do is I have the things that I use all the time on my taskbar on my computer. So we help agents cleaning up that dog's breakfast. And if you really need it, it shouldn't be an actual, think about this. If you've got folders on your desktop and all these big PDFs, and I've seen people put zip files of Strata docs and whatever, all these big files, that's on your desktop. What happens, and this is both Mac and PC, exactly the same. When you log on to your computer, it brings up your profile, which includes the desktop. So if your computer is slow or having some problems, a lot of times it's because that desktop is a problem. Okay. We don't want a cluttered desktop with an enormous amount of files and folders that are really large on a desktop.
Yeah,
Good,
exactly.
good one, Terry.
Yeah, and I know you talked about your toolbar and such. There's bookmarks and toolbars and all these amazing things that computers can do. And the beautiful thing about that is, as I've got two desktop computers, I've got two laptops, I've got an iPad, I've got an iPhone. So whenever I'm doing because I have a home office and I have an office at the office. So, but it doesn't matter where I am. I just log on and my system is there. So
Exactly the same.
yeah, exactly. So if I want to go
Yeah.
see the city of Kelowna's GIS mapping, I can find it in 10 seconds or less because I know exactly where it is. And it doesn't matter what computer I'm on.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
there, right? Everything's
Yeah.
there. Maybe we
Yeah.
should.
And it's incredible. And then the flip side, the good side of that as well, because Terry has done this, is that if you're set up properly and your computer dies, and Terry, I think I can recall at least twice with
Yeah,
you that you've
killed, yeah.
a little spillage of something on the
Liquid,
desktop or
yeah.
laptop, I guess it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's always right before a holiday. That's always good. But
Mhm.
honestly, it's not a big deal because all we do is go get another computer and Terry is up and running in 10 minutes. Okay. And more recently, it happened to me. My computer just physically died. The hard drive died. Like, oh, what a pain. Yes. So I doled out a bunch of money, which, I'm running a business. That's okay. It's a business expense. I got my computer and I am not kidding you. Within 10 minutes, I had to download a couple things. I'm up and running. I have all my files are back. My desktop's the same. I have access to everything I had access to before. And that's it.
Mhm.
When you're set up like a proper business, right? It's incredible. And you don't know it until something bad happens. And I'm hoping that, we want to get to you before that something bad happens because computers will die. You will get viruses, things will happen, and are your files and folders safe, both business and personal? Make sense?
Right.
Okay, Terry, anything else to add?
Oh my goodness, I got lost. I keep going down these rabbit holes. Like I want to talk about screen clipping and
No.
like enough today.
It's
We have
like,
hours and hours of more conversations to have.
yeah, and we started this podcast. This is only our fourth one, I think. I said third earlier. And so I'm going to put down we're going to do an app one as well, and we'll talk about screen clipping and some cool apps that are out there for agents to be more efficient in their business. But I think that's probably covers it for cloud storage, unless you have something else to say.
No, I think so. Definitely something to consider. And if you don't really quite understand cloud storage and how it can work for you and benefit you, once you understand it all, it's a game changer. You will never ever look back and you go, how did I run my business for so many years without doing this?
Yeah,
Right?
it's
It'll
true.
blow your
It's
mind.
so true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
and it's a thrill for me to help agents because I love looking at what you've done and fixing it and making it the best that we could with folder structures, not worried about losing files, everything's safe and secure, and it's a game changer for sure.
Being able
So
to find stuff
finding stuff immediately at your fingertips on
immediately.
any computer, anywhere that you go is when you log in with your credentials. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, if you do need help and if you're stuck and you piecemealed your business together and are running multiple cloud storage accounts, can't find your files, wasting time, that low amount of $24,000. An agent I was just talking today said she charges 300 an hour. So her loss is much, much higher.
Mhm.
But if you want help, book a call with us. It's agenttechmastery.com/apply pod. And it's absolutely free for us to have a chat and possibly the best call that you've ever had in your life to change your business and actually your life. Again, that's www.agenttechmastery.com/apply pod. Hope to see you soon and see you at our next podcast.